Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television, our community connected. Thanks for watching. Thanks to our producer, Jeff Durrell. We're at McCartney Hall in the conference room of McCartney, visiting with Dr. Tony Gabel, Associate Professor of Business Law at Fort Hays State University, and Dr. Justin Evans, who is the International Coordinator in Business and Entrepreneurship, as we refocus again, kind of a follow-up on an earlier community connection that we did about the China connection as it relates to business and business law. And if we could, first of all, Dr. Evans, if we could go to you for the first question on your return to China, which was just completed here in the last few weeks. Give us your impression, the results, and what was the reason for the return again?
Well, our Tony's and my trip in January was a research trip related to the academic research that we're doing. My trip last week was related to my administrative function here for the college. We deliver our BBA degree on the ground in China, and so we have American faculty, PhD qualified American faculty teaching on the ground at our partner school at CIAS International University near Zhengzhou, which is in the eastern third, kind of in the middle of the country. And so I visited with our faculty there, performed the annual evaluation process that we all do here on campus, and visited with the administration there at CIAS.
This will be kind of the nuts and bolts type of work that you'll be doing on an ongoing basis, right, Dr. Evans?
That's right. I visit China several times a year for these sorts of functions.
This will be a continuing program then for the foreseeable future with CIAS, right?
I certainly hope so.
That's the idea and that's the plan, right?
Oh, yes. And we've been on the ground there since the year 2000, and have a very fruitful partnership there.
So it's been an ongoing process for quite some time, but it's not something that can be done in a short amount of time. I mean, it is an ongoing, developing partnership, relationship type thing, isn't it, Dr. Evans?
Certainly, yes. Yeah, we have both the logistics of coordinating the partnership itself, as well as the standard academic concerns. How should the curriculum evolve, and what should we be teaching to prepare students for the workforce?
And with the technology, the virtual college and so forth, the connectivity, if you will, it's still face-to-face as being the most effective for faculty evaluations and such.
Oh, certainly. And really the primary concern is, how do students best learn? And certainly we found, in the case of students learning in English as a second language, the face-to-face instruction is much preferable to the online instruction.
And Dr. Tony Gabel, also with Dr. Evans, made that trip last January, as a matter of fact, as a follow-up. Tony, I'd like to get your comments and thoughts about that, particularly as this trip that you and Dr. Evans were on involved students. You were able to take students along.
Yes, we were. It was a 2-week trip at the very beginning of January of this year. We departed from the U.S. on the day after New Year's. Spent a first week in Shanghai and the second week in Beijing. And we did take students with us as part of our research. We took 4 undergraduate students, a graduate student of ours. The 4 undergraduate students were selected as part of a competitive process. They essentially asked if they could come along. We advertised for positions for some undergraduate research assistants for the undergraduate research experience that the university has. And we had some fantastic students apply, well over 40 applications, and we were going to originally select 2. That's all the money we had to take 2 students along, and we had a very good number of those students that were excellent, and we asked for additional funding from the university, and from the provost office to the graduate school dean to our dean in our college and even our department. They all chipped in, and we were able to take 2 more undergraduate students with us. Their primary purpose, at least the way we structured it, was they are doing their own research. They're 2 teams of 2, and they're doing their own research as a subset of the research that Justin and I are doing. And we are coordinating that and sort of shepherding that with them. In fact, back in February, on February 14th or 13th, they presented posters of their research that they've completed so far at Topeka during the, I think it's the research day at the Capitol. And so they were successful in doing that. And it was a very good experience for them. It's been a good experience for us as well. Our graduate student we took along was our graduate research assistant that has been helping us with our research. And so it was a good way to involve him as well. And overall, it was a great experience for everyone.
So in addition to the research then, Dr. Gabel, what do you think the students gain from this? Maybe a wider expanse of their universe, maybe?
Oh, certainly. That was probably the primary feedback that we received from them, that 4 of those students, 3 of the undergrads and our graduate assistant, that was the first time they'd been to China, kind of like myself, the first time I'd been there. So it was very eye-opening, very a good experience from that standpoint. And so they gained that opportunity to experience a different culture, and then of course having a particular area of interest for them for research purposes gave them a way to engage in a different way other than just to go over and sightsee. They were able to ask some very pointed questions about how business operates in China. And those questions were put to the same people that Justin and I were interviewing, top-level attorneys and managers, and not only attorneys of a Western background, but also Chinese attorneys as well. So they had that opportunity to engage in that way, and it was good. It was good for everyone.
A unique opportunity, Dr. Evans, where students from a small western Kansas university are able to make a trip like that and ask pointed questions and get research materials that maybe they could get at other sources, but to get that face-to-face like you were talking about earlier.
That's right. And internationalization has become under the leadership of our dean and the provost and the president, has become a priority for the college. We think students will be better prepared for the 21st century with global exposure. And so we're very pleased that the students could come and gain all of this experience.
Dr. Gabel, what would you say is a practical advantage or a practical benefit for the students then that were involved in the research and also in their graduate work?
Well, the very first practical advantage for them is something to put on their resume. They have the ability to say they've been exposed in an international environment. Not many people of their age have that opportunity to relate to foreign cultures in this particular way. Second practical advantage is they are able to tell employers and perhaps even graduate schools for the undergraduate students that if they were to apply, that they've already done some research, some of their own unique research. And in that respect, they were able to go collect information firsthand. And as you mentioned before, that most students, they'll do secondary resources as far as research is concerned. They might not collect data primarily from either survey instruments or certainly face-to-face, but this was something they were able to gain. And so as a practical effect, they were able to formulate questions that really mattered to them. One of the group of students was looking at the different cultural aspects in China by region and how that would impact a business's decision of where to locate. The second group, I think, was looking at how small businesses might be able to take advantage of something that Justin and I were talking about, and that was the legal entrepreneurship that can exist when you look at different laws in different jurisdictions. Can smaller firms take advantage of those same opportunities as larger firms might? And that has a real direct connection back to our university in the sense of out in western Kansas, what do we have when it comes to entrepreneurship? Smaller businesses, and they have their own challenges. Well, if you move into an international environment, those same small businesses will have some very unique sets of challenges, especially moving into a jurisdiction like China, where it's a fairly low rule of law jurisdiction as opposed to the United States or somewhere in Europe. So they have some really good data to work with and some practical experiences.
Dr. Evans, Dr. Gabel makes a point that large businesses have the resources, the ability, and probably the expertise to go into China, many of whom are already there. But as a small business owner, maybe you have to navigate a lot more situations on your own, or perhaps with very limited resource help.
That's right. And our team of undergraduates that is looking at this question had some very good thoughts on that. It seems that there may be a large pool of people, professionals in China who have legal knowledge, who may not be licensed to practice law per se, but who may have the expertise that small businesses can tap. And those sorts of attorneys, we think, probably have the opportunity to set up a consulting shop, in essence, to work just on a few narrow cases with each of these small firms that may not have as much money to invest in legal advice. But these were the observations of our students, so they're doing a very good job of thinking through these challenges.
Dr. Gabel, what are the challenges that China presents? You mentioned some of the impressions you got while you were there. I think you were in one of the smoggiest days, at least apparently, in China.
Well, I mean, they have some challenges. There's no doubt about that. And you could look at it from the standpoint of the legal side or the environmental side. And I think you're talking about the environmental side. From that sort of an on-the-ground report, in Shanghai, when we were there the first week, it was pretty good weather. We were told by the locals it was good weather, but it was a large city, largest metropolitan area in the world, I believe. And so you kind of expect a little bit of smog and pollution, but it was a good experience. When we went to Beijing the following week, when we got there, the first couple of days, I think Justin even commented the times he's visited, those were really good days. It was fairly clear, still smoggy, but you could see the mountains off to the north. By the end, or by the middle of the week, it was pretty smoggy. Visibility was probably less than a mile, and you could look up and see blue sky, but if you looked at a distance, it was sort of brown haze, and so there are some true challenges that China has as they try to advance in the world that they'll have with the environmental issues. In fact, the last couple of weeks that has been in the news, and got to experience that firsthand.
Moving from environmental challenges, if you will, Dr. Evans, to perhaps governmental challenges. How do American businesses, or those who would like to do investment in areas like China, how do they navigate through those governmental issues then?
It's a great question. That was the focus of our trip. We were asking the professionals on the ground that very question. In a nutshell, it's important to keep an open mind, to appreciate the differences between what the environment that Western companies are accustomed to and the Chinese environment, and to strike a balance between adapting to the Chinese environment as well as maintaining integrity and quality.
What's the next step in the process then, Dr. Gabel, as far as the business law degrees program itself? What's the next step?
Well, at least for us, for our research, is we'll take the data that we've collected from the interviews, and we'll be publishing at least one, perhaps two different articles from the data we've collected. The interviews were rather extensive, and the time that was shared with us and the information shared with us by the attorneys and managers was just fantastic. You really can't get that sort of data. It's very unique. And so from that standpoint, it's research production for Justin and myself. As far as integrating that in our classroom, we are already doing that, and at least with our business law classes, we have an introductory topic. We lead our students through a discussion of the research we've done to start that exposure. Now that probably will build throughout the College of Business and other programs, and perhaps our research can contribute there, but certainly we're already taking that into account, not just individually, but perhaps even as the college.
And Dr. Evans, these articles would be published in professional journals so that others may learn from the experiences you've already gleaned then.
That's our hope. Yes, our earliest article was targeted to law journals, to law outlets. These articles from our January trip more likely will be targeted to business.
Just a little bit of the World Ready events at Fort Hays State University with our guest today on Community Connection, Dr. Tony Gabel, Associate Professor in Business Law, and Dr. Justin Evans, International Coordinator in Business and Entrepreneurship at Fort Hays State University. From Community Connections, thanks for watching.